On May 26, 2015, the body of high school teacher Mike Skronsky was recovered in the lab behind his classroom. Immediately, some of his students were named the suspects. Forensic science students Brendan Prappis, Spencer Lee, Griffin Palmer, Daniela Ishu, Aaron Height, and Celia Summers were suspected after each received a poor grade on their recent final exam. Stay tuned here on Locard's Files as we work to solve this case.
It's always important when dealing with a crime scene to secure it as to not contaminate it for anything that may be useful. It's always important to wear protective gear such as gloves and tie-back suits to ensure the safety of the evidence. It's also important to sign people in and out to keep a record of when people go in and out of the crime scene.
When searching a crime scene, make sure to always walk heel to toe so that you do not trample evidence. One search pattern used is the spiral pattern, in which you walk around in circles until the entire room has been covered. Another search pattern you can use is the strip search pattern, in which you walk up and down in rows. Another search pattern you can use is the grid search pattern, in which you walk in north-south and east-west strips. Another search pattern is the zone search pattern, in which you go from zone to another zone until all the zones have been searched. The last search pattern you can use is the sector search pattern, in which you divide the area into zones but use a different search pattern within each one.
When entering a crime scene, it's always important to take notes of everything you see as to document all the evidence into one file. When evidence is found, it's always important to anchor the evidence so that your sketch is as accurate as possible. It's important to use either corners or objects to anchor your evidence so it can be shown in the sketch as well. It's always important before handling evidence to take pictures. Remember, a ruler and an evidence card must be put next to the evidence so that the number corresponds with the sketch that is written. It's also important that markers are made so you can keep track of evidence. Remember, evidence is always in numbers and objects are always in letters.
When making a sketch, it's important to have a rough and a final sketch. In both sketches, north must be indicated and objects are in letters and numbers are what represents evidence. It's also important that your final sketch be written in pen and that all units and measurements are indicated.
When dealing with evidence, it's always important to maintain a chain of custody to ensure that evidence is not contaminated. It's important to put your name, date, and where the origin of the evidence you collected is found.
When measuring how high a single drop of blood came from, you take the diameter of it, and when comparing it to a table of predetermined values, you can find out how high this is. This one came from about 60 centimeters up in the air.
As you can see here in the picture of the technician holding a meter stick, 60 centimeters makes a lot of sense in this situation.
When determining angle of cast-off, you take the width of the drop and divide it by the length of the drop, and take the inverse sine of that to find the angle that the drop came from. This cast-off here appears to be from a right-handed person due to the angle of where it came from in regards to where the body was found. When encountering a body at the crime scene, bugs are often a very good indicator of time of death and always surround the body upon discovery. In this situation, fly larvae are very difficult to handle, so pipe cleaners have been substituted to maintain control of that. When analyzing fly larvae, which is the process of forensic entomology, it is important to write down the length of each bug in millimeters, as different species have different lengths. These lengths all correspond to a table of values that show how long they have been there.
By comparing the table to the values that we have discovered, we have noticed that the body has been found for 2 to 3 days, and considering that the body was found on Monday, this concludes that the body was dead on Friday. Once you secure a print from a crime scene, take some dust and use a light spinning method to make the print come out nicely. Once you do that, take some tape and use an object with a flat surface in order to smooth out any air bubbles that may be found within the print. After that, Then you can compare the print that you found at the crime scene with prints that you may take from any suspects. When taking fingerprints from suspects, it's important to use a quick method going from fingernail to fingernail in order to get a fingerprint. Make sure there are no smudges and that the print comes out nicely when you are done. After getting the points of identification from both the suspects and the fingerprint found on the crime scene, we were able to find out that the print matched up most closely to Brendan Prappis, as he had the most points of identification associated with the fingerprints found at the crime scene.
Where were you Friday?
I left right after school.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
Anyone that can tell me that?
I went by myself. No one was
Exactly.
walking with me.
How do you know I believe you? Why should I believe you? Why should I believe you?
Because everyone believes me.
That's not a good answer.
Well, that's my answer.
That's too bad.
I want a lawyer.
That's too bad. Were you in that prep room?
I was during class.
Were you outside after class?
Of course not. I leave right after the bell rings.
Did you leave fingerprints anywhere?
Maybe.
So Griffin, where were you on Friday afternoon in Mr.
My house.
Really? You were at house during school hours. Or were you planning on coming back anytime? Really? Did you have an exit pass of some sort?
No, I just left.
You just decided to leave
Yeah.
without. And is it true that you have received a bad grade on your forensics final?
Yeah,
Are you bothered by that at all?
not really.
You don't feel as if you deserved a better grade than what you actually received on the final?
I don't really care.
You didn't really mind at all?
No.
Well, what do you think about Mr. Skronsky in general?
He's okay.
He's okay. Is he? Would you rank him high or would you rank him low?
I'd say he's okay, so like middle.
Middle.
Yeah.
No preference whatsoever.
Not really.
Really.
Yeah.
What do you make that? How do you feel that you know that your forensic science teacher is dead?
Sucks.
It sucks.
Yeah.
When analyzing handwriting, there are two things you must always keep in mind. Those are variations and slants. Variations are the unique details that are specific to one's handwriting. Slants are the angle at which one's writing leans towards. Slants and variations work hand in hand in order to discover if a document is legit to a certain owner or not. After analyzing the handwriting on the note that we found at the crime scene by gathering the slants and variations, we then went on to gather handwriting samples from all suspects. We were able to find that the slants and variations pointed to Brendan Prappis in more ways than one.